that's when we start to push it away and resist. And when I push it away and resist, I don't allow it to go through its natural ebb and flow. Hey, welcome to another Deep Dive with Derek. I'm your host, Derek, but my friends call me D-Rock, so I want you to call me D-Rock, because if you're here, you're my friend. If you have not seen me before, if you're here for the first time, I want to personally welcome you to the channel. On this channel, we take a look at videos and music and poetry and other forms of art through the lens of meaning and valued living. So what does that mean, meaningful living? It's all the tools that we have available to us that we can use to design and live a meaningful life. And that includes personal values and purpose. It includes mindsets and narratives and resilience and mindfulness. All the things that we can use to appreciate and accept and live the bright side of life, but also learn from and get through the dark side of life. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me. Today we're going to check out, I saw this video pop up called Behind the Scenes of High Ren with Ren, or High Ren Behind the Scenes with Ren. And we'll check this out. High Ren was my first introduction to Ren, as I think it was with many people. So I did a video. You can check that out here. And that was, I was so new. I didn't know that I didn't have to fog the screen, you know, and that kind of stuff. So I did re-edit it without the snowy stuff. So you can check that one out here. It should be the same video. I think I even flipped it in the first one, so people were confused with the dark character and the bright character were swapped. So I took care of that though in the re-edited version. But let's check out the behind the scenes with Ren, about High Ren.
So that part, if you kind of want to explain my sort of thought process behind that, was that when I first got ill, I remember saying to my mum, and this is going to get a little bit heavy for a second, so bear with me and forgive me. But I remember saying to her, I was like, if I'm ill for another year, this is like right in the first year, I was like, I'm letting you know, I don't think that I can do it. And I was like, I'm really sorry about it, I just can't. And then a year passed, and I was even more sick. And then another year passed, and I was even more sick, and I was even in more pain. And that progressed on for the next 8-9 years of my life, and it just got worse and worse. And it wasn't that it became any easier to deal with. It was because I eventually came to accept that I had to live in a body that was full of pain, and that made it a lot easier. Because the more
easier with hindsight, but not easy when you're in it. And if you've seen me before, you've heard a lot of this before. Easy in the long run, but acceptance is the idea that you're not going to push away what is. So, and I love how he said that too. I had to accept that I'm going to be a person living in a hurting body or painful body or whatever it was, in a body with pain. Once I accept that, it changes my relationship with it. If you can accept what is at the extreme level, like what he's talking about and what he went through, but even as little as that guy cut me off, can I accept that? Once you accept it, it doesn't mean that you have to like it. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a doormat. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like this forever. It simply means that you're accepting that life happens and that life happened and that this is the cards that I was dealt. And now I can choose how to play those cards. But it can subtly change your relationship with whatever happens.
I resisted, and that made it a lot easier. Because the more I resisted, the more that I fought against that fact, the more I was bitter about it and angry about it, the more I was like, why the fuck is it me? Why is it my body that hurts? Why my friends get to go and live normal, happy lives and go and get to experience all the things that someone in their early 20s gets to experience. I was really bitter about that at the start because I missed a lot of birthdays. I missed a lot of New Year's.
Yeah, and the way that I go talk about this is Most things. Never use extremes. For a lot of things, they ebb and they flow. They rise and then they go away. They come and go. And that's it. But this is the intensity level. And as it gets more and more intense, that's when we start to push it away and resist. And when I push it away and resist, I don't allow it to go through its natural ebb and flow, because that necessarily means it comes, it gets intense, it's getting intense, and boom, resist, and now it's going to keep trying to go up. It's going to keep trying to go through, because I don't want it to get more intense. But it's only by letting it get more intense that it eventually gets to pass away. So that's very much what he was saying here. Is as soon as I accepted, there was some more intensity, some sadness came, so on. But then I learned how to live with it.
Just lying in bed and and it wasn't until I learned to accept that. It was just the cards that I've been dealt. This isn't my. I don't speak about it publicly very much. Oh, give me a second. It wasn't until I stopped resisting that fact that life became enjoyable. And I know that I'm crying right now, but I'm genuinely, for the most part, very happy, even though I still put up with a lot of symptoms.
You can be happy. He knows this, but I'm just reiterating and reinforcing this. You can be happy and still cry. You can have bad days and an overall happy life. And sometimes tears are why you're happy. Sometimes it's just cathartic. It helps cleanse your system, so to speak. So yeah, have a cry. There's no shame in that.
And I am. It might be hard to convince you right now,
Not me.
but I am. I'm very happy in life, and I feel very fulfilled, and I feel like I'm doing things that I would have dreamt of years ago.
What's this little snowman behind him with like several heads and pitchforks? And is this his little doodling space, where he comes up with album art ideas? That's a story I'm telling myself.
So yeah, I think that's what sentiment I was trying to get across, basically. That it wasn't until I was just like, stop fighting against my demons and stop fighting against the pain and stop saying why me, that I got a lot better. And I just was like, well, you know what, like.
And there's another view here of coping, and in High Ren he talks about coping. I've learned some new coping skills. Coping is, how do you handle adversity? What do you do? And if you think of this like a 2x2 grid, so there's four boxes, and you can think of what is in your control and what is out of your control. That will be over here. And you can think of what you're doing and what you're not doing. Either doing or not doing. So effective coping is when you do things that are in your control. There are some things you can be doing. I can be reaching out for help. I can be taking my meds. I can be doing the physical therapy. I can be resting, whatever. But I'm doing the things that are in my control. There's two common ways that are called maladaptive coping strategies, but they don't work. And that is trying to control the uncontrollable. Doing things that are out of my control. Trying to control things that I can't control. And that is trying to push away the demons that are always going to be there. That they're going to be there. I can't control that. It feels like I can in the world of money. It's making changes and tweaks and buying and selling things in my portfolio, hoping that I can alter what the market does, but you can't change. You have no control over what the market does. So trying to control the uncontrollable is a maladaptive technique. And not doing things that are in your control. So there are things that you could do, but you're not doing them. That could be of avoidance, a lack of acceptance, but I could reach out to friends, but I don't. So doing things that I don't have any control over, and not doing things that I do have control over. That is also a bad way to try to cope. The good way is doing the things that are in your control. The harder one, though, and this is what he was talking about, and this is why I thought about it, is surrendering, letting go of things over which you have no control. That is an effective coping strategy, but it is the hardest one. Can I let go? Can I surrender to the demons? That doesn't mean let them win, but I should make this very, very clear. It means can I learn to live with them? They're going to be here. Pushing them away doesn't do anything. Can I surrender to what is? So doing the things that are in your control, not doing the things that are out of your control, effective coping. Trying to control the uncontrollable, not doing things that are in your control, not good coping strategies. This field goes a lot deeper than that, but that's the kind of the high level.
Could be a lot worse, and also as well,
could be a lot worse. It can always be worse. Again, you don't say this to somebody else who's in the middle of pain. I've talked about that in several of his videos. But this is a good mindset to try to teach yourself. It can always be worse, and there's gratitude in shit that didn't go well. My go-to example: I was out on a jog. It's early morning. It gets dark in the wintertime towards the solstice. It's really dark, so I got up for a morning run, and I'm jogging, and this particular route took me over some train tracks, and there was a spike that was misplaced, and I'm running, and I kicked the spike, and I planted into the rocks around the train tracks. Bam, bloodied up my face, hurt my arm really bad, and bloodied up my knees. And objectively speaking, this was a shitty thing that could happen. But luckily, I've spent a long time working on this mindset. And I thought, all right, well, okay, now I accepted it. That happened. And I'm in pain. What's my best? Here's the cards that I just got. What's the next best thing to do? Well, I need to see if my arm's broken. I need to see if I can get up. And I was fine. My arm wasn't broken. But I could have broken my arm. It could have been worse. And if I broke my arm, I would pay a lot of money to get back to this situation I find myself in, with just some cuts and scrapes and a hurt toe, because it was my toe that kicked the nail. And if I broke my arm, it could still be worse, because there was all these spikes. I could have fallen, and pardon the graphicness, but I could have fallen onto a spike. If that happened, assuming I survived it, I would pay a lot of money to get back to a position where I just broke my arm. It can always be worse. Now, this is really difficult, like surrendering to what you have no control over. Recognizing this can always be worse. Ooh. If it was worse, I would pay money to get to this position. This is expert level gratitude, but it is definitely possible. Not easy, but possible. So when he says it can always be worse, that is true. That is true to internalize, but don't go around telling other people, because you're not acknowledging their pain. That nobody wants to hear. It can always be worse when they're in the middle, when they're too close to the situation.
Could be a lot worse, and also as well, so what? Let's make the most of these limitations that I've got, or let's use these limitations that I've got and turn it into something else, and try and alchemize it.
Yes, and I draw a lot of pictures, as you might know. One of my favorite drawings that gets a lot of attention is it's a guy, a little stick figure, and he's wringing out pain. He's wringing out, the past into a bucket called lessons. So just get all the lessons you can out of it, and take what you've got, take the lemon and turn it into lemonade.
Into something more productive. And that's why I feel very lucky to be in the creative industry, because I wouldn't be able to do that in an office job. So I feel very blessed, and I feel very blessed to have you guys supporting me as well, because without that I wouldn't be able to do that. And so yeah, I feel lucky. And and you know, maybe it's for a purpose. I don't think I'd have ever made the music that I did if I hadn't lived these experiences. It would be very different. I think I'd still be making music, because before I got ill, I was lined up to do some pretty cool things with like Sony, and I was on a good path. But I don't think my music. I don't think I'd have written a song like this. I obviously wouldn't have written a song like this. I wouldn't have written a song like Violet's Tale. I wouldn't have made that kind of music. So even though it doesn't sit in the sphere of like mainstream music, I'm very proud of it, because I think it even though it taps into like a darker side of the human psyche.
Taps into a darker side of the human psyche, but that dark side of the human psyche exists, and there aren't that many people shining a light on it.
I feel proud of myself for what I've achieved. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and I'm gonna have to run off in a second because my food's probably ready by now. Um, but yeah, thanks for joining me on the chat, and letting me kind of talk a bit more about what this song meant to me. I just wanted to go into the very last line, because I think that's my favorite line in the whole thing. It's what separates human beings from angels and from demons and from gods. And like, while I'm not, like I said this earlier, while I'm not necessarily like religious in the sense that I say I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I like humans' explanations for the divine a lot. I love the stories. And what I meant by we must remember that we are human beings is that we're not evil and we're not good. We're not either of those things.
Yeah, in the terminology, that's a false dichotomy. It's a spectrum, and it's not even that simple, because what does good mean and what does evil mean? And these are just value judgments that we place on it. So it is a lot more messy than that.
We are something that is a mismatch of everything, and we've got to embrace our own imperfections, and we've got to remind ourselves that if we're hurting, it's just part of the human experience, and better days will come too.
Yes, the human condition, the human experience. Welcome to Earth. Enjoy your stay. While you're here, you're going to see upside. You're going to see downside. Not accepting the downside is going to create more misery. The Buddhists talk about arrows or darts. I've heard it both ways. You get struck by darts and arrows. That's just what happens. That's the human condition. And then our relationship with those first arrows or first darts. If I say I don't deserve this or I shouldn't have this, I'm inviting a second arrow, which is my relationship to the first arrow. So pain is the first arrow, suffering is the second arrow. Pain is inevitable. Pain will happen. Suffering is your choice. You don't have to complain about the first arrow. You should expect first arrows, because that's what the human condition is. If you were going to try to explain to somebody, imagine a world where they haven't been to Earth. What does it mean to be a human? The human condition, which includes pain.
Even in amongst that pain will come too. Even in amongst that pain. And yeah. Whereas when we look at a demon, we see evil. Whereas we look at an angel, we see good. When we look at a god, we see powerful. We're all of those things, man. We're demons and angels and gods mixed into some imperfect creature that ended up on this floating rock in space. And
yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that, if you want to find some awe, think about that just for a second. You exist. And think of all the things that had to happen for you to exist. Your mom and dad had to meet and then decide to have a kid at the exact time. Maybe they didn't decide, but they had to have a kid at the exact same moment they did. If they didn't, you don't exist, and your non-existent sibling exists. But even if your parents didn't meet, then you don't exist. But you can trace that up all the way up your family tree. All those things had to happen for you to exist. And now that you exist, you're on a rock held onto this rock by this really powerful invisible thing called gravity, and this rock is spinning around and it's whipping around a star that we call the sun, which is one of a billion stars in this galaxy, and there's many galaxies. Think about that. You want to feel small? You're just floating around on a rock in space.
Rock in space. And yeah, that's why I like that line. Anyway, I'm gonna go and have some food. And thank you guys very much for joining me on this stream today. I hope, because it's my first stream by myself, I hope that you were sufficiently entertained. Doing this builds my confidence to do more of these sorts of things in future. So thank you for sharing this time with me and letting me talk about this stream. It means a lot. I'm certainly gonna go and enjoy my food, and I'm enjoying my release day, man. Like I said before, guys, I'm doing it all independently. So if you guys have any ideas on how to share this as much as possible, bother everybody you can with it. It would really help me, because it just helps it get seen out in the public eye a little bit more, and helps make this dream even more of reality, because then I got more resources to make even more ambitious projects. So that would mean a lot. Yeah, thank you guys. I hope you have a blessed night. I hope you all sleep really well, and I hope you enjoyed High Ren, and I cannot wait for you to see what's coming up next, because it's cool. And the album name is Sick Boy that I'm releasing, and that's going to be dropping at some point very soon. I love you guys. See you later.
All right. So when did this come up? Oh, this is 11 months ago. Okay. So I kind of thought that was going to be him walking through the video, but uh, nonetheless, I liked it. There's a lot of confirmation bias when I watch things like this. He says the same things I do. So all I'm trying to do is magnify what he's saying and give some more context and spread the word where I can. So have you seen this one yet? What did you take out of it? What do you like of it? If this is the kind of thing you like, give me a thumbs up. Let me know this is the kind of thing I should be doing more of. And more recommendations, more interview recommendations, more video recommendations, more song recommendations, anything that you think I should check out, please let me know. And I'm going to continue down my Ren rabbit hole journey. Hey, D-Rock again. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing here. If this kind of thing is interesting to you, and especially if you like those bad drawings at the beginning, you might be interested in my weekly newsletter. It explores money's role in a meaningful life. So you can check that out at meaning.blog if you want. It takes this and it goes a lot deeper. So if you like that, check it out. Let me know what else I should be doing, what else I could be doing, and I'll see you here next time.